What's going on, everybody? GumpaFan15 here, and today, after months of hard work, I finally have completed the Mechanicore 172 scale Pyrannosaurus, or as we all know it, the GP02. And this thing is absolutely massive. It is insanely detailed. It's got good articulation, not great, but it's got pretty good articulation everywhere. You know, details out the ass. Those are the pros. The cons of this kit: fitting issues galore. Now, obviously, this is a third-party kit, so you know there's going to be issues running into it. With this being my second third-party kit, I thought I would be prepared, but not for Mechanicore style. I'll get into all the different issues I've had throughout this kit, but just know the main thing you're going to face is fitting issues. While everything is undergated on the kit, you still have a lot of cleanup to do. There's a lot of excess plastic around edges, and you have to sand a lot of the pieces. You have to widen some of the holes, or shave off a bit of the plastic around some of the pegs. Just things like that. And also a lot of glue. You're gonna need a lot of glue and a lot of patience with this kit. But once it's all done, it does look really good. And I do love all the decals all over it. I didn't put every single one. I put all the ones that were listed in the manual, but there's still half a sheet of caution markings and things like that left over. If you want to fill it up with that, you can, but I like it how it is, just like that. So, without further ado, let's get into the articulation. You do have a fair amount of articulation with the arms. Starting up here with the shoulders, these hatches can open up side to side, as well as this piece here. Once they're opened up, you can move the arm back and forth like so. Be careful though, because this connection is pretty loose. It's just basically friction holding it in there. Coming down, you get a nice rotation there. It can go a full 360 if you wanted to. And you do have double articulation at the elbow. Get a bend there and another bend right there. And as you can see, you get a nice movement of the pistons right there at the forearms. So that's pretty cool. The back side of this right here, this gray piece, is part of the open hatches. Just get a little knife in there, and that does open up like so. The hands, both hands have magnets in them to hold the weapons, but they don't work that well. We'll come to that shortly. But as far as the articulation for the hands, you can move side to side like so, forward and backwards. So pretty good there. One other thing I forgot to mention, the fingers are individually articulated, much like the Verka hands. So get nice bends out of all of them. They're great for aesthetic purposes. However, as we all know, when it comes to actually holding the weapons, they're garbage. And the magnet, like we'll get to, does not hold anything. And now moving on to these gigantic legs, and they are a beauty. Quite possibly, besides the shield, they are the biggest thing on this kit, and the most detailed in my opinion. Oh, look at that. Someone needed to skip leg day. Pretty cool there. Alright, now I'm going to show the articulation on this, but I do have to be careful because the wires, which run through here, down the back of this, go underneath here, right up underneath the foot. They are very tight right up in here. And I know this because on this leg, when I went to start bending, I broke the wires. And as you can see, I had to solder some new wires to it in order to get it to work right. The route, because there's a predetermined route for the wires to go through, I didn't run them with enough slack, so ended up breaking. But I fixed it. Anyways, back to the articulation. Move this out the way. You get articulation right up here. This does move back like so, and as you can see, you get a nice armor sliding gimmick there. And get another bend right there, that moves up. And it can move back like so. So you get a nice bend there. Push that all back. Whew, yeah, see, gotta be careful of those wires. These thrusters on the sides here, there's a total of 12. Flaps do come up like so. Which reveals the thruster bells underneath. I did take a chrome marker and just kind of do a small little bit of detail painting in there. And they're held on with a lot of these, I don't know what you would call them, metal hatches, I guess. I don't know. Whatever the word for them is. There are a bunch of them on there, and they hold them on pretty well. However, I would recommend, once you actually get the metal onto the plastic, find some way to try and melt the plastic around the metal, because there's a lot of connections on here where it's very loose and the metal does like to pop out. So, push those back. You get more opening here. That's very good. Nice area for some detail painting. When you open up that, it causes this to open up. About there. And then, as far as the foot goes, you get a nice bend about that far back. And as you can see, you got the metal rods right in there. This does bend forward and back like that. The bend forward though, not too much. That is basically flat. That's as far as that'll go. There's no toe bend or anything like, well, actually, I lied. Yes, there is. No, there's not. I lied. I thought that was it. Anyways, you get a single LED down here. It is very, very bright. A lot of details, panel lines right up in here. This hatch does open up just a little bit. Nothing too fancy. And as far as the bending, bends forward pretty well and side to side. About that far and that far. Oh, you also get another opening hatch right up here. That'll slide up like so. And this little hatch right up here also opens up. A lot of detail in this. Also, what I wanted to point out, this piece here, again, like with everything on this kit, pay attention, double check before you try and install something or glue something, because the connector that this flap is on, I actually put it on upside down, either upside down or backwards, and to where this was facing up that way. I didn't realize it until after I'd already had it set in glue for about a week. So I ended up having to cut it all off and do my best to super glue it back together, and it looks pretty okay. I was lucky that this was the right leg, so only this side was really going to be showing, but over there, I don't know. That's that. Also, the connectors that these go on are not very sturdy, so I recommend gluing them into place. And now for the head, torso, and waist, because it's all one part now. In my previous video, I was talking about being able to get the head mounted onto the torso, because the rod that goes in for the LED was bent, and since it's on my part, I may have glued it in the wrong way, but it was very difficult. So anyways, what I ended up having to do was just glue it up, shove it down in there, hold it for a little while, and now it's stuck in place, but the LED does work. Another thing, 2 red pieces on the side here. I didn't have to put those in because there are photo etch parts behind that, and once you put those in, there's kind of no point for them to be there. But in the instructions, it says to install them. So, I mean, it's really up to you. If you want to put the photo etch parts in and leave the red pieces off, you can. Or if you want to just do it vice versa and leave them out, put the red pieces in, you can. But kind of pointless at this point. The faceplate, again, I went with the original GP02. It's supposed to be able to pop out via a magnet, but the faceplate, once it got on, was all crooked with the magnet on there, so I ended up gluing that on. Again, I like the original better than the Mechanicore version anyway, so that looks good. And as far as a lot of the other pieces on the head, again, a lot of it had to be glued because it's so tiny and there's a lot of inner frame inside the head. But the antenna up here, the V-fin, can move it up and down like so. This red piece should actually be pushed farther in, but that's as far as I could get it. This piece up here can move. It's supposed to lock into place, something like that, but I can't get it to. But that's part of the open hatch. There's 2 slots over here on the sides of the head. Those are supposed to pop up, as well as these dark gray pieces on the side. Those are supposed to pop up, but again, in order to get the head mounted together, had to glue it. And that's really about it, but I do love the design of it. It does look really good, especially with those decals on there. Should be a few more, but I like it like that. And as far as articulation, I mean, if it wasn't glued, it could do a full 360. Can't do side to side even if it wasn't glued, but it can go forward about that far and back about that far, and you do have the pistons right there. The torso doesn't have much in terms of articulation, but there are a few little gimmicks. The arms right here, they can move out about that far. For some reason mine wants to keep popping back. That's new. You know, same with that, about that far. And it does have a few open hatch gimmicks. Right up here at the top, your little blade. Those can pop open like so. And the cockpit right here does open up like so. And you can, I'll get to that in a second. And you can see little pilot figure in there, little Annabelle Gatto. And this piece right up here does also pop open, and it has the metal hinges in it. So, real nice. Just pushes right back down. As far as the right here goes, I don't remember what I did, but pistons down in here, I think I ended up having to glue them to the base, which actually does help it with the stability, because if not, it would just pop right out. But if not, it does move side to side a little bit, not too much. But as far as forward and backwards goes, down here at the bottom, there is a little red bar. You can see that there. In the instruction manual, it says that that is a locking mechanism. What it locks is up underneath, you can see it, a little bit of silver, that is a metal peg. And what I'm guessing is supposed to happen is it's supposed to sit down in there, that metal bar slides to the right to lock it in place. However, mine cannot go all the way down, so I can't push the locking bar all the way over. So it is what it is. And like I said in another previous video, the first work in progress. These up here, these red pieces around his cockpit, pay attention to the instruction manual and where you're putting them, because these smaller pieces are actually supposed to be in the back. So it is what it is, and this is very easy to pop out because, like I said, it's in the wrong spot. And moving on to the waist, there is a lot going on here, very highly detailed. The front skirts have good articulation, about that far, like that. The gray pieces here, they are supposed to pop open, kind of like up here with the hinges. However, like I said, with the thruster bells on the legs, the hinges, I couldn't get them, even when melted on, to stay, so I pretty much just left them off. But they are supposed to pop up a little bit, but even with the hinges on there, the connector up here, the little C onto it, is way too tight, so popping it up, it just pops right off. But that's that. The side skirts, these do hold the beam sabers. It's got a total of 4. There's supposed to be, in the instruction manual, it shows some weird T-piece that connects onto here, but not included in it, so I don't know what the hell they're talking about. But in any case, it does hold the beam sabers in there really well. If you want to take the beam sabers out, you just gotta pull up a little bit on here and you can slide them out. I'm not going to right now though. And those go up about that high, but they pop off real easily. I'm just gonna leave that off. And as far as the back goes, same thing with the back skirts. Can move up and down about that far sideways, and these can open up. So again, those are supposed to have the metal hinges, but I couldn't get them on. And back here, I think one of these pieces is supposed to move. However, I had to glue it in place because if I didn't, the connection was so loose everything would fall apart. So again, you're gonna have a lot of glue with this. Oh, and putting these yellow bits in here was really a pain in the ass, because in the instruction manual, again, backwards. And as far as up here on the part of the backpack, you do get a bit of articulation here for the large thrusters, and this piece does move a little bit, but that'll come into play later. And you do have this magnet back here for connecting the big ass bazooka. And again, when you're installing the magnets, be careful, because like what I did, I installed one of the magnets backwards on the bazooka. So of course, trying to put a north and north end together did not work out. It kept pushing it back off. And now for the thrusters themselves. These things are very beautiful. A lot of detail all over it. Some nice decals added onto it, make it really pop. As far as any of the gimmicks go, there's only a few. If you pull this a little bit right here, pull it up, that pops these out about that far. And also right up top here, pull that up, reveals some nice detail in there. So a lot of opportunity for detail painting. As far as any type of articulation goes, the only thing it can do, this connector up here, when it connects to the back of the backpack, it's got these 2 rotating pieces here, go up and down, and same for this one. Now this piece, the screw that goes in here, because there's a lot of screws that hold everything together, and I do recommend tightening the hell out of them because there is a lot of weight to this kit. This one I actually had to drill out and sand a little bit further down so that the bolt can go through. because for some reason the bolt stopped about a couple centimeters away from the actual start of the nut on the other side. So when I put it in, everything just started flopping around. But I got it to work, and it works just fine. The LEDs running through here, there's one big wire that runs through, and there's about 3 or 4 different sections that it goes through. There is a certain way that it has to run, so again, double check on the instructions, but it can pop out like so, and it is on a little mechanism to where it can move a little bit like that. It's not the best in the world, but it's still pretty good. So you get that, and it's mounted up. Looks really cool. And what else is there? Oh yeah, this piece right here. There's a second piece to each thruster. It's these little things. Don't really know what the real point of them are, but there is another LED that comes out right here. And it's all part of this tiny little gray piece that's in the middle right here. The LED, it has a little black box on the end of it, which connects right up there, and it just bends down and it comes out. Really cool. There's also a lot of photo etch parts on the ends of the red pieces, and there's a little magnet right here as well as a magnet right there. You just attach it like so, and it kind of stays in place. It's not the best connection because it'll just start doing that, but it works out pretty well. And on this one, unfortunately, when it came to running the wire for this right here, it broke because the wires are very, very thin. And because of how the wire is for this, because it connects to another little black box, there was so much rubber around it, I couldn't solder anything to it because it kept melting the rubber, and I ended up getting pissed off, so I just ended up cutting it. So, and it doesn't really make that much difference because this green LED coming out of here is not very bright at all, so it didn't really matter much. And on the one that it does work on, I'll show you when I get it all lit up, it only works about half the time. So, again, just be careful putting everything together. And now for the big ass shield. And this thing is huge. For size comparison, it's about as tall as the Saber Verka. So, big sumbitch. Very nice, very detailed. I know some people don't like all the decals on it. I actually think this looks really good with these big decals on it. The only problem I had was, putting some of these up here that actually go onto open hatch pieces. Ended up having to cut around them once I had them set and put the mark softener on them. But it ends up looking really, really nice. You get about that much movement on the side. I mean, nothing much. On the sides here, these gray pieces are part of the open hatch gimmick. They're supposed to open up about halfway, but like on the other section, the connector piece, very, very thin, and it can end up breaking. Same thing for these pieces can open up, but there's no real way to keep them open. So, but on the inside of them there is some nice detail, so if you can get yours to open up and stay open, good for you. On the back side here, or really let's start at the bottom. This keeps it standing up. If you move these backwards like it's supposed to, like that, and keep it out, the thing will just fall forward. So, and it's got these nice little hinges that it's on, although it doesn't really move too much, except for when the feet are deployed. But nice little hinges there. This here is for the handle, and there's a few different options for that, but it's got these metal rods that it will slide up and down on. And it does pop open right here, but I'll get to that later. These are for holding the bazooka once it's in there. And it actually does hold it really well. And up here at the top, you got another hinge movement. So, really nice. It's a nice shield, very big, also very heavy. And the kit cannot hold it worth a damn. And we'll get to that here in a minute. But it does have its own dedicated stand that goes on the main kit stand. And it's really nice. So, let's move on. Now onto the weapons. This is the beam rifle that you get with the premium edition of this kit. It only comes with the premium. And it's really nice. A lot of detail on it. A few different LEDs running through it. And it's also brittle as hell. As I said in my work in progress video, somehow right up here along the gray part for the Pyrannosaurus decal, it started breaking, as you can see. And I don't know why. I just picked it up one day and it fell apart in my hand. Same thing with the back right here for the activation button for the LEDs. It started breaking, so just be careful. I did do a little bit of detail painting on this, mainly just some red all over, and of course the panel lines. And the activation button right here on the back, push it in, and you get some nice LEDs right there. You get a purple one coming out of the photo etch parts there, a bit of green, and this bright orange right at the end. So, really nice. And as far as the wiring goes for this, the batteries are stored right underneath here. This pops off, and there's 3 of those small watch batteries. But underneath that is like the main harness for the LEDs, and it is not enough wire. There really isn't. And I did end up breaking it, but I fixed it, and I had to just push everything together. Pretty much everything with this kit is going to have fitting issues, so just be prepared for a lot of work. You do get a magnet right here and along the back side here, but the gun is so heavy and the hands are crap, it can't hold it. You do get 4 of these Beam Saber handles as well as 4 Beam Saber effect parts. This nice, pretty neon pink, neon red, somewhere in between. And they are actually very hard plastic. They're not like your flimsy, normal beam effect parts. These, very hard. You can probably use them as chopsticks. And like I said, you get 4 of them, and there are magnets on the end, so if you wanted to, you could just boop, pop them together. So you have a double beam saber, kind of like Darth Maul. Pretty cool. However, there's no magnet along any of the hilts, so there's no way for the hands to even have a hope of gripping it. Because like I said, these beam effect parts, since they're solid plastic, they're actually quite heavy. So, gonna have problems there. And now for one of the biggest selling points of this kit, the big ass beam nuclear bazooka, whatever you want to call it. Very big, very detailed, also very heavy, and very much a pain in the ass when it comes to installing the LEDs. You'll have green here and here for this half, because it does split right there. There's a big orange LED coming out the end there. These LEDs right here and on the side, on this side, are red. And there's a cool little gimmick that when they're separated, like so, these will be red, but once they click together, this little switch right here at the top, this little gray switch, it pushes in and it turns everything green, which means it's ready to fire. And once those kick in, it turns this LED on. Very nice. However, when doing this, the LED connection right up in here, this little rod came very loose, and the LEDs would only activate if it was super close together. Because like I said, once you push them together, this little rod pushes in, and it just makes everything horrible. So I ended up having to do quite a bit of modifications to this. You can see on the side here, there are these thick gray parts that go around the LED. Over here, they're supposed to be the same ones, but I ended up having to not install those because it would push the pieces apart too much and the LED wouldn't kick on. Also, right up in here, as you can see, I had to cut a lot of plastic away, sand everything down just so that I could get it as flat as possible and as close as possible. It should have been like another ½ inch. But I had to do what I had to do. And because I shaved that down, this piece right here should have actually been pushed forward a little bit more, because this hooks on right up here. But, you know, after about a couple hours, I got it to work. So once it's hooked on, it'll be fine. And any other little modifications, nothing too much. Like I said, there were a few pieces, like around up this long piece right here, and a couple pieces here on the sides that I ended up having to glue because they just wanted to keep popping up. And you do actually have a few option parts. These pieces here, this I don't know, the tan color and this red piece, you can actually make the red pieces yellow or red, and these tan pieces you can actually make tan or white. You have enough of either one to do it. So it doesn't tell you which one to do, but you know, it's up to you. The handle piece right here does pop back. Come on. Yeah, there you go. Pops back, and it's supposed to slide down like that. Hooks in for storage. The other cool little gimmick, let me take that off. Right back here, pop this up, and come on. Well, it won't come out, but there is a missile that actually loads up right in there, so I thought that was pretty cool. Now this kit is lucky enough to include a display stand for the kit, and it's actually quite detailed. I did actually end up going in with the panel line wash and filling in all the details, and that is really good. I love how that turned out. Didn't actually go and do it on the main part up here because no one's really going to see it anyway, but it does have this right here, which should allow it to move up and down like so. And you know, like most things, you can just lock it back into place. Up here, if I can, let me focus on that. You do have the main USB cord, which you have to get yourself. It doesn't come with it, but it comes out here and it runs the full length of the stock down to the base and connect it to whatever power source you want to. This is the connector. It goes right up underneath the waist, and it can move. You just gotta push this little gray piece to one side or the other, and it's very hard. I have to use a pair of pliers to do it, but it can move. This right here is the display stand for the shield itself. Just this nice clear plastic, and you can put it right in there, or this other hole that's over here. Whichever hole that you're not using, it does come with a white cover piece to plug it up. But you're going to connect it right up in here, via this little tab that's going to go around the back side of it, and you can actually move it side to side. You want to tighten it up, there's a little bolt right there. And before I put the shield on its own stand, I did want to show you it does come with this connector piece that is supposed to allow it to be hooked onto the arm. Basically, it just hooks on right in there, like so. And the idea is that, you know, the hand holds it right there, and there's this little peg that goes into the arm. However, a couple problems with that. One, that just pops right out. Two, this peg piece will not hook into anything securely. And this, not metal, doesn't have any magnetic properties, so the hand will just let it go. So once you put it on there, because there's so much weight to the shield, it'll just fall down. And also, you get this little handle piece, which just hooks on right into there. And again, kind of pointless. Can't get your hand through it or anything, so what the hell. And as you can see, it does hold onto the stand very well, very sturdy. And you can turn it around so I can show you. The long part of the bazooka is held in there very nicely. And you can adjust the height with the sliding mechanism right there. I just want to show you just how flimsy these hands are, and how it would have been a lot better to have some fixed posed hands, especially with the weight of all these weapons. Take your beam saber here, there's a magnet in there, but nothing here. Nothing on this beam saber hilt. Maybe if you found a small enough magnet to put into there, maybe it could work, but just literally just place it in there. No matter what you do, the hands are so flimsy that as soon as you let go, bam. Same goes for his beam rifle. While yes, the handle does have a magnet in it, it is positioned in such a way that it can actually lock onto it. And so, with it being as heavy as it is, it does the same kind of thing, just flops down. And here it is, finally posed up on the stand with all the LEDs turned on, and it does look fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Now, that being said, once you get all the bolts tightened up, you know, all up along here and on the leg, because these legs are so heavy, the bolts need to be as tight as you can, otherwise everything's just gonna flop around. Same thing with the binders. But once those are tightened up, you can pretty much pose them however you want. Now, the big problem, at least for me, is getting this damn bazooka to stay up there. Because, again, hands, pretty damn flimsy, but also there's so much weight on this front end that it just falls forward. I would think even with fixed pose hands holding it in place, it would still have a hard time holding it up. Basically what I ended up having to do was pushing this binder pretty tight and kind of wedging it up underneath it, and even then it's still flimsy. Like, I think just a light breeze might knock it down. But once that's up there, I mean, that's pretty much the pose that I'm going to keep it in. So I may end up gluing it at some point, but I don't know. But basically, final thoughts on this kit. Is it worth I don't know, $300-400 that I paid for it? Almost $500 after shipping, because I pre-ordered it and it was the premium version. Maybe not. I mean, if you get a bunch of money to burn, you want to try your hand at this, sure, go for it. I think there might be better kits out there, but you know, I wanted a challenge, and believe me, this kit challenged me tremendously. I learned a lot doing it. You know, I learned a lot about trying to fix LED wires. But you know, it's really cool. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is a fantastic looking kit, but you know, as far as holding weapons and things like that, and fitting issues, these third-party companies got a long way to go. And yeah, it looks cool. I mean, if Bandai would put the same level of detail into their kits as these third-party kits do, I probably wouldn't buy third-party kits that much anymore. And here it is in the dark. Now, obviously, seeing it through the camera isn't really doing it justice. It's gonna be a lot more blurry, but in person, it does look really cool. And here you got the LEDs right here at the front of the skirt armor, I guess you would call it. Right up underneath the feet. If I can get to it. You got the LED there, same as on the other foot. Pan up, and you got those beautiful tri-blues underneath each binder. Of course, the green one's on top. LED shining through the chest. Now again, I don't really get the point of the one right here in the cockpit area, but you know, whatever. And then, of course, the problem I had with the head LEDs, but there's not much I can do about that anymore. And also, you get the green right there on the Bazooka. Again, when the front half is not attached, those green lights in the back are red. And coming up at the front, nice bright orange LED. Alright, so there you have it. Finally, after all these months, the review for the Mechanicore, Pyrannosaurus, GP02, whatever you want to call it, it's finally done. Sorry it took so long to do this, but, you know, life happens, and this kid was a pain in my fucking ass. So, with that being said, don't forget to subscribe for more content. Drop a like on this video if you enjoyed it. As always, there's links in my description to my Facebook page, New Type Builder. Make sure to go check that out, where I will have a full photo album of this kit in all of its glory. Alright, and with that, see you guys next time.